Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. So this is part two of the video on how to fill out your DS-160 form if you're a J-1 visa teacher. The last video I made, the part one, my video died because my video died. No, my laptop died. So I wasn't able to continue the entire how-to guide. So now I'm making a second part of that video. Let me share to you real quick. This was the part one, how to fill out a DS-160 form, part one. This is where we stop. There, there, that's the end of that first video. My laptop is died. My laptop died. Okay. So this is the second part. To get to the DS-160 website, there are two ways. You can either open a new window and right away type in the web address, which is CEAC. I read this as CEAC.state.gov. So I'm just going to copy this and put it in the address bar. Or you can Google search DS-160. It should be the first item that will appear on the Google search. And then you just click the link. So ceac.state.gov is the web address. It will take you directly to the website. And look for the non-immigrant visa DS-160 online non-immigrant visa application. Click this link. And right here, we are now in the website to log back into my account that I created last time. So first things first, you have to select your location. If you're doing your embassy interview in the Philippines, then put Philippines, Manila. And you have to correctly enter the code as shown here. So that is UP5UN. And it should let you retrieve your application, retrieve an application. Now, in retrieving your application, you need your application ID. I have it written down on a paper. This way I don't forget the application ID. So that's 9LH, retrieve application. Security questions, the first 5 letters of the surname. I use the surname Fernandez, so the first 5 letters of Fernandez is Ferna. Year of birth that I used as a sample is 1980. What city or town was your first job? I wrote Cagayan de Oro. So make sure you have all this information to be able to retrieve the application that you have saved. So in my the part one of my video, I was only able to cover the first 6 sections of the application. Getting started, personal, travel, travel companions, previous US travel, address, and phone. And this is when my laptop died. So I'm gonna start where I left off. This is the address and phone information section that I've already completed. So I'm gonna go on to the next section, which is all about your passport. And right here, the first information they need is the type of your passport. So type of passport should be regular. Passport travel document number, this is where you enter your passport number. So this is an example of the passport number. This is not exactly my passport number. So I'm gonna just use random numbers. So if you're from the Philippines, I think your passport number starts with a letter and end with a letter also. Passport book number, I don't think you have a passport book number, but if you do, you can enter it here. And if you don't have, just click this apply. So the passport book number is commonly called the inventory control number. You may or may not have the passport book number on your passport. So you can find the passport book number on your passport. It should be somewhere. I don't really exactly know where you can locate the passport number. Maybe it's at the back. I'm not too sure. But again, you can just click does not apply here. Country authority that issued your passport, click Philippines. City, make sure you enter the city that issued your passport. State, Cagayan de Oro belongs to Misamis Oriental as the province. If you don't belong to any province, you can also skip this. I mean, it should be as shown on your passport. If there's no province in your passport, you can skip this part. Country, Philippines, issuance, make sure you put the date, the month, and the year. So this is an example. I'll put 2020. Expiration date would be 2028. And just remember that when you're applying for a J1 visa, make sure your passport does not expire in 6 months or so. Other visa sponsors actually require applicants to have a passport that has a validity for up to 3 years at a minimum, but make sure it's not expiring in 6 months, in a year, and if your passport is expiring, make sure you schedule for a passport renewal. And then the last section, the last question in this section is, have you ever lost a passport or had one stolen? So I'm going to click no. And like I've mentioned in my previous video, make sure you save. Save for each section that you completed, make sure you save it. And then click continue application before you move on to the next section of the form, which is US contact. Now here, you can enter the name of your visa sponsor and their contact information. You can also use the school as the US point of contact. So it's either visa sponsor or your host school. So an example, let's say I'm just going to use the visa sponsor. So let's say that's the surname of the visa sponsor. Okay, that's the given name. Organization name, I would say, well, the name of the visa sponsor would be, this is just an example, okay? I'm just putting this as an example. Relationship to you, I would put other. If I'm putting my visa sponsor. Now, if you're putting the information of your HR director, then you put school official or employer. So the address on phone number of the point of contact, make sure it's the address of your visa sponsor. This is an example. Let's say Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to put Georgia. Okay, right here. This would be the code. Again, this is just an example. There's no such zip code like this in Georgia. All right. Phone number, this is the phone number of the visa sponsor, and this is the email address of the visa sponsor. Again, this is just an example. And I'm going to save. So again, for this section, given name is invalid. Why? Oh, it was autofilled when I choose Teach America. So right. So I'm using the contact details of my visa sponsor. Again, for this section, you can either put the information of your visa sponsor or your employer, the host school. And then, so I save the US contact, and then I'm going to click continue and move on to the next. This is about your information about your family, your father full name. So I'm going to put Hernandez Garcia as a sample. Given name, Juan Miguel. Date of birth, start with the day, the month, the year. Is your father in the US? No. And if your father is in the US, yeah, of course, you have to say yes, okay? And select the status. There are some applicants out there that have a family member in the US, and then just identify if your family member is now a US citizen or a legal permanent resident. And if you don't know, you can just put, I don't know. So I'm gonna put no. Mother full name and date of birth, so Hernandez Garcia, Juanita Miguel. Date of birth, the same day, month, and the year. Is your mother in the US? No. Do you have any immediate relatives in the US? This is a kind of tricky question, but when you say immediate relatives, this include your sibling, your brother or sister, or if your son and daughter is in the US, you make sure you answer yes. Or if you have a fiance, you say yes. If you have a husband or wife that's already in the US, you say yes. But if there's no immediate relatives, then you just put no. All right. If you have an uncle or aunt in the US, then just say no. Those are not immediate relatives. But here's the next question. Do you have any other relatives in the United States? If you have an aunt or an uncle, yes, click yes. Or if there's none, then just click no. And then make sure, all right. Just make sure you save this section before you go on to the next. The next part is still about your relatives. Now, this one is about your spouse. So I'm gonna put next for my spouse, because I entered in the personal section that I was married. So now this portion also shows up about the spouse. Surname would be Fernandez. What was that? Garcia? Is that what I put? Fernandez Garcia. Oh no, I'm just gonna put Garcia. Given name. We can just Juan Garcia, date of birth, day, month, year. Okay. Spouse, country, region of origin, the nationality would be Philippines. City, the place of birth, and the Oro, country, origin, Philippines. Spouse address, same as home address. You can put that, or same as mailing address. And if you don't know, because there are a few instances where you're not living together with your husband, then you can just say do not know. All right, same as home address. Save before you go to the next section. Continue application. Click this one. The next section is about your work, education, and training. Make sure all information you enter in this section is matching with what you entered in your resume. And it must be matching on what is in your DS 2019. Make sure it's everything, all of the information are matching. So primary occupation, that would be teacher, or under education, select education. Present employer, this is your current school, your school that you are currently teaching now. So this is just an example again. That's the name of my school right now. And this is the name of the school I put in my resume, and this is the school that is found on my DS 2019. The address would be what? This is an example again. Oro, province Misamis. Oriental, zip code 9,000. Phone number, if you don't, well, I don't know exactly the phone number of my school, but if you know, just put it in. I wonder if I skip this part. because it doesn't have the red asterisk, so I don't think this is a required field. So if I don't have the phone number of my school, maybe I can just skip this. Well, we'll see, okay, if it lets us go to the next section of the form. Philippines, start date, when did you start teaching in that school? So I would say 1990. Monthly income in your local currency, 30,000 pesos. Briefly describe your duties. Teach grades 4 and 5, all subjects. You can enumerate all of your main duties in this school, okay? And then I'm gonna go save. Oops, phone number is needed, so we really have to enter the phone number. So 6398, I'm just putting random numbers right now for my phone number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's 9 digits. Let's say. Save, that was my phone number. It accepted. So all sections must be filled out. Now I'm gonna go to the next, continue application. This time it's all about your previous work. Now, if you have taught in another school before your current school right now, then you enter those information here. Now, if you've only taught in one school where you're currently teaching now, then you don't have to, I think you can just put no and not fill out this section. Were you previously employed? I would say no. If I have, then I would have to say yes and enter all the information. Employer name, the street address, the city, the province, the zip code, the country, telephone number must be included. The title, your teacher, who is your school principal, put it in here. When did you teach in that school, up to when, okay? The start date and the end date, and then describe your duties also. And then add another if you've taught in another school, all right? So here, I'm just gonna say no, I'm not previously employed with another employer. Have you attended any educational institutions at the secondary level? You must answer yes to this question if you have ever attended for any length of time, a high school, secondary, or college, university, college, university, graduate school, or doctoral program, or vocational program. So if you have doctor's degree, master's degree, then you should be clicking yes. This is where you enter information about your school. So name of institution, this is an example. The street address would be, I don't really know, but I'm just gonna put in some names here as a sample. I'm putting the address of my school. This one is Oriental for the province. Zip code. Philippines course of study, I would say I got master's degree in education, major in administration. Date of attendance, of course, you put the date here. I would say 1994. Until when? So usually that's 1994, 95, 96, 97. Okay. All right. And then, so again, you have to answer here yes if you've attended any educations at a secondary level or above. You have to put your high school, all right? High school, you put your high school information, your college, your bachelor's degree, where you got your bachelor's degree in, your master's degree, your doctoral degree, and any program that you have attended. You gotta include it here. Now, if you enter high school, actually, I need to start high school for this information. It says here for middle school and junior high or high school course of study, just indicate academic right here for your course of study. So you, again, I just want to be clear. For this section of the form, previous work, education, training, and information, there's a question here. The second question that says, have you attended any educational institutions at the secondary level? I would put yes, and I should start with secondary level. Okay, well, this is the name of my, my high school, Capital University, or you can just say Capital High School. Okay, I'm just to make it clear. Capital High School, name of my high school. That's the address. And then for the course of study, I'm just going to put academic. So again, you start with your high school, and then from there, you add another for your bachelor's degree. Uh-oh, it's freezing right now. I don't know if I'm going to get kicked out of this website. All right, it's loading. Okay, loading. So this is the reason why I'd like you guys to save each section that you completed, because sometimes the website freezes like this, and sometimes the website kicks you out of the account that you have to log back in. Like right now, I'm frozen. It's not loading or anything. So let me see. I hope I can continue. All right, well, waiting. It's still waiting for CF to respond. No, I don't know if it's ever going to go to the next part. All right, well, I may have to exit. If it does not let me exit, that means then, oops, it's responding now. Yes, it's not responding. I got kicked out. So again, if you are inactive with just a few seconds, a few minutes, the website will kick you out. So like this is it. All right, so I'm gonna log back in. Philippines, Manila for my location, the code T6SU from this box right here. And then retrieve an application. I'm gonna enter my application ID again. It automatically saves in my computer, but just for to be safe, make sure you have it written down on a piece of paper, or you have it saved in your phone, your application ID. Security question, the first 5 letters of the surname that I use as a sample is Fernandez. So the first 5 letters is Ferna. Year of birth, 1980 is what the year I used as a sample, and the year, the city and town was, the city and town I used for my first job is Cagayan de Oro. Retrieve application. I hope it did save some of the information I entered. So we stop right here, present work, education, training, information. This is about my current employer. And then I move on to the next. This is where we got stuck. All right, let's continue here. Were you previously employed? They're asking if you've taught in another school aside from the current school you're teaching right now. So I would say no. But if you do, you click yes and enter the employer name you had before, the address of your employer, what was your job title, your school principal, when did you taught in that school, until when, the employment start date and employment end date. Describe your duties as also here. So I'm not gonna fill that out. I'm just gonna say no. And then the next question, have you attended any educational institutions at secondary level? This is high school. So start with your high school. So I'm gonna click yes. I'm gonna put the name of my high school, Capital High School. This is the address, the street address, the city, the province, the name of the province. If you don't have, if you know your school doesn't belong in a province, you can just put does not apply. The zip code, the country, course of study for high school level, you just put academic. Academic. Date of attendance, when did you attend high school? Let me see, 19, no, that's where I was born. The one that I put in there. 1994. Date of attendance. When did you graduate high school? 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. All right, I'm gonna put that in and save. Save your high school, continue application. Now, do not just stop on the high school information. You have to include all of your educational background from high school to your doctorate degree, if you have a doctorate degree. So name of institution, this is about my bachelor's degree. I'm gonna put Capital University, the address, that would be the address. Course of study, bachelor's in elementary education. Okay. Date of attendance. What was my high school? What did I put in there? 1994. It should be 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 1998. So my bachelor's degree would be 1998. This is just an example. 98, 99, 20, 21, 22. 2002, rather. Save. Now, if I don't have a master's degree, don't have a doctoral degree, then I'll just stop with a bachelor's degree. You can also include if you only completed the complete academic requirements of your master's degree, you can still include it here. All right. All right. Now I'm ready to go to the next page. Work education, additional information. Do you belong to a clan or tribe? No. Provide a list of languages you speak. So I speak Filipino, English, and that's it. Have you traveled to any country's region within the last 5 years? If I have not, then I put no. If you have, then you put yes. But you have to enter information which country you've traveled. Let's say you've traveled to China. So I'm going to put China there. Have you belonged to, contributed to, or worked for any professional social organization? No. Do you have any specialized skills or training, like training on explosives, nuclear, biological, chemical experience? No. Have you served in the military? No. Have you served in paramilitary unit, vigilante unit, rebel group, and so on and so forth? So that should be a no. I'm going to click save to go on to the next page. So, all right. So here, I guess you cannot put all languages that you speak in one box. So you just put add another. All right. I'm going to put English right here. This is the good thing about this form. It actually tells you if you get an error and which part needs to be edited. Okay, save. Continue application. All right, I'm done with this section. So now I'm going to go to the next page. Now, this one is very important. I really want you guys to carefully read each question and answer it as honest as you can be. First one, do you have communicable disease of public health significance? No. These are the example of communicable disease, okay? Do you have a mental or physical disorder that poses or likely to pose a threat to the safety and welfare of yourself or others? So that's a no. Are you or have you ever been a drug abuser or addict? No. I'm gonna click save and go to the next. All right. Part 2 of the security background questions. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of any offense? No. Have you ever violated or engaged in conspiracy to violate? I'm going to put no. Are you coming to the United States to engage in prostitution or unlawful commercialized vice? I'm going to put no. Have you ever been involved in or do you seek to engage in money laundering? No. Have you ever committed or conspired to commit a human trafficking offense? No. Have you ever knowingly aided, abetted, assisted? So this one should be no. Are you the spouse of an individual who has committed human trafficking? So no, make sure you answer all no here because you're gonna have trouble going through the, going through the embassy if you have answered yes to any of these questions. So I'm gonna save, and there's another part of the security background in section. Part 3 is another set of questions. Do you seek to engage in espionage, sabotage, export control violations? No. Do you seek to engage in terrorist activities? No. Have you ever or do you intend to provide financial assistance to terrorists? No. Are you a member or representative of a terrorist organization? No. Are you the spouse, son, daughter of a terrorist? No. Have you ever ordered, incited genocide? That's a no. Have you ever committed, ordered, incited, assisted, otherwise participated in torture? No. Have you committed violence? No. Have you ever engaged in recruitment or use of child soldiers? No. While serving as a government official, have you made violations also? No. Have you ever been directly involved in the establishments or enforcements of population controls, forcing a woman to undergo an abortion? No. Have you ever been directly involved in the coercive transplantation of human organs? So no. All answers here should be no, all right? But must be, it says to provide complete and accurate information to all questions that require an explanation. So if you answered yes, you have to personally appear before a consular officer and explain your case, okay? All right, now save. Now you can go to the part four, sorry. Part 4 of the security background section is a continuation, another set of questions. Have you ever sought to obtain visa entry into the United States by fraud? Okay, that should be no. Have you ever been removed or deported from any country? No. But if you had been deported or removed from a country, you have to answer yes and explain it here. It's okay to explain. It says here, while a yes answer does not automatically signify ineligibility for a visa, if your answer is yes, then you have to explain that to the consular officer personally and also write your explanation here. If you answered no and their record shows that you've been deported before, this would be the reason of your visa denial because you did not answer this question accurately. Okay. All right, I'm going to save this and go to part 5 of the background security section. I think this is the part where you enter your, no, the next one would be where you enter your SEVIS number. Part 5, have you ever withheld custody of a U.S. citizen child outside the United States? No. Have you voted in the U.S. in violation of any law? That's a no. Have you ever renounced U.S. citizenship for the purpose of avoiding taxation? That's a no. So save. Now, this is the very last, no, the last 2 sections of the form, I believe. This is where you enter your SEVIS number. So, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Additional point of contact. You should not use your family information here. It says here, you have indicated that you will be studying in some capacity while in the United States. List at least 2 contacts in your country of residence who can verify the information that you have provided on this application. Do not list immediate family members or other relatives. So here, your additional point of contact can be your co-teacher, your school principal. They should not be family members or relatives. You can put your best friend's name here if you want to. So let me see. This is a sample address. Again, this is just a sample. If it doesn't have a province, you want to put does not apply. The postal code 9802, country, region would be Philippines. Now here you have to provide 2 additional point of contacts that are not a family member, not a relative. Make sure you put the phone number, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Email address. Okay. Now another contact. So they're asking for 2 additional point of contact. It's not applying. Just put the same zip. Country, Philippines. Telephone number again. You gotta put the phone number. This is the sample, and then I'm gonna go save. So you have the additional point of contact. Then continue application. I think this is the last part of the form now. Yeah. SEVIS. This is where you put your SEVIS number. All right, here you enter your SEVIS number. The program number starts with A, or you can get your SEVIS ID number and the program number from your visa sponsor. And then there's the last question. Do you intend to study in the US? No. All right. Now, if you don't have a SEVIS program number, you can just save this. And then you can proceed to the next section where you upload your photo because you need to enter the SEVIS and program number. So now I'm just going to save it because I don't have a SEVIS ID number yet. All right. So it should save. I will wait for my sponsor to provide me the SEVIS ID and the program number. All right. So I think that's it. I know I'm kind of fast in this presentation, but I hope you were able to catch everything that I said. But you can always pause and replay the video if needed. So now I'm just gonna go back here. Let me see. And I think that's it. If you do have questions, you can put in the comments or message me, especially for our teachers from iTeach. You can always message me and I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. You can always search for other videos out there. There's a lot of video resources that are also showing to you the step-by-step guide on how to fill out the DS-160 form. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.